Is these bees. Today we're going to do one of the things that a beekeeper loves to do most, and that's harvest honey. The great thing about what we do on at least two of our hives is that are flow hives, we don't have to disrupt the bees. So you notice I don't have a suit on. I have a veil just in case, because every once in a while you get a nasty bee. The bees will feel your vibration more than they see you or hear you. So we'll get started. Thanks. If you're new to Flow Hive, I wanted to kind of start everything from scratch. So what we'll do, we've got these little brackets here that they send when you buy a Flow Hive, and that's used for a shelf. Well, it's convenient in that you can take this cover off, set it down here, and that becomes your shelf. And you have to kind of loosen some of the screws to get this thing to fit. So then you go in. We'll start with the middle frame here. And what you do is you take the center piece out. We'll put a spigot in here. Go. Okay, and then we'll set a jar right down here. That's the starting piece. Now we take this piece out of the top. And you notice we haven't disrupted the bees. The bees coming in out of that side, and they don't even know that we're here yet. In fact, they won't know until we get done. So the next thing we do is we take what I call our cranks, and you can use one, but I think it's better to use two. So we have to take off the little cover over that, put the cranks in and turn them. And we can do them a little bit at a time. Makes it easier to do them a little bit at a time anyway. And guess what? Look what's coming out. As warm as it is, it's 90 some degrees right now. It's going to probably come out pretty quick, so we'll probably have to have plenty of jars ready. You can see how pretty and light colored that honey is. That's probably clover. One of the great things about a flow hive is that each frame can contain a different type of honey. So you could have clover here, and you might have some other plant right here, and the honeys are all different. So when you do it this way, where you get all of the honey into one jar or two jars, depending on how much it goes, then you know all of that honey came from the same type of forage, because bees are faithful to what they are foraging. So in other words, if they start to a clover field, they'll go to that clover field until they're finished, and then they'll go to the next one. So this frame may all be clover. This next one may be something else. We are getting pretty quick with this. This is fast, and I knew it would be because of the heat. Honey, the warmer it is, the warmer the honey gets. Ooh, that was quicker even than I thought. And you have to make sure that you cap the jars as soon as you get through, because if you don't, bees or something else might get into it. And you notice not a single bee has come to talk to me. So that's a great thing, because you don't have to worry about getting stung. Again, last year we did this hive, and we had one bee that got a little nasty, and she followed me around, so I put a veil on. Hopefully this year I won't even need to do that. So we may go ahead and start another one, just to keep it going. Excuse me, same process. We'll start with this one because there's enough room on it. We'll take the bottom opening up and the top, put the spigot in, and that, by the way, that little nib right there, that will help clean out the bottom container part here, right? So, okay, so we got that done, and now we'll put the cranks in. And again, you can use one crank if you want to. I typically use two because it just puts less strain on the frames. So we'll go in a little bit more, You can do them a third at a time if you want, but we're going to do a little bit less. So there they are, and here it comes. This is just so fun to be able to do this. I've got gloves on because this stuff is sticky, but you don't have to worry about getting, hopefully you don't have to worry about getting stung. Now you can see in this frame right here, we don't know how much is left in it. It looks like there's quite a bit. We've gotten a full quart, and we're working on the second quart. The middle frames typically get filled the first because they're the closest to the brood and the center area. So they start and then they go out. It just seems to be the way they do with brood and everything else. So you have to have jars ready. We've got 12 jars out here. Last year on this hive we got 10 and a half, but it was a little full. If you notice over here, these aren't nearly as full as what the center ones were, and you can see that honey there. And the edge. So again, they fill from the center out both ways. So let me move over here a little bit, and I'll show you what the side looks like. It's another good thing about a flow hive. You can actually get an idea of what the bees are doing. So there you notice that's all capped honey there. So again, they're not gonna, they're filling that center. So we'll probably pull the center out. Oh my gosh. Got to talking and didn't pay any attention to that the jar was full. Oh my gosh. Gotta get a jar lid on that. Oh, it's good though.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna lick. I hate to waste that honey, so I'm just gonna lick it off my gloves. Oh, it's really good. I'm gonna lick.
No.
You got to pay attention because you don't want to lose honey. So as soon as this one finishes, we'll turn, if you can see in here, there's a bottom hole and a top hole. The bottom hole is where you open, the top hole is where you close the frame. So again, if you're not familiar with a flow frame, they're plastic frames that are made like this. The bees come in and put wax around this broken open area, fill it up, and then right now when we turn the cranks, it moves like this. So instead of being a container, it's a channel, and the honey just falls out and then comes out in the bottom like this. So we can close it back up, and then the bees will notice pretty quickly that their honey's gone, and they'll uncap it and start filling it again. Now, last year when we did this, we had people say, "Oh, you're taking the bees' honey." No, this is a medium super here, which is full of nothing but honey frames. Those we don't touch. Those are the bees' frames. Those are for the bees to use through the winter. So we're very mindful that the bees are going to have honey through the winter. So we always leave them this full super. We will take this top super, the flow super, off anyway, because in the winter the bees have to manage the heat inside, and if you give them a huge area up top to manage that heat, then they will have problems because there's just too much area, because they'll cluster down here in the bottom box, which is where the brood or the babies are. So if they have to heat all that area up above just to get heat down to the bottom, then they're in trouble. And so a lot of times they'll die because they can't manage all that space. So again, we'll take this big super off in the winter. After we normally have here, at least in my location, have a decent fall flow, and so we normally leave the flow super on until the fall harvest is done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this one because it's just about done. So again, you put them in the top. Can't see. And you do just the same thing, but it goes the other way. And this top goes down pretty far. There's a cutout on it, but apparently it's just not enough. Okay, so I'll break this up just a tad so I can see what's wrong. Okay, didn't hit that in the right spot. There we go. So that basically is shutting that off. Put some bees out.
Got some bees.
They're not going to be happy. Oh, she's in the honey. Don't worry. So here's what you have to do when the bees smell it. They'll come and do something with it. So there's the little lid for that.
Right here. There's the flat and the little.
The little flat. It'll come out a little bit more. Looks like this frame wasn't nearly as full as this one was because it's not quite a full quart. Since I imagine this center is, this one is pretty much the same as this one, I'm going to go ahead and get it started. I'll go ahead and put a large mouth jar in there. I've got one. That way I can get 2 jars going, or 2 frames going. You can see in a very little bit of time, we've got 3 full jars, almost another full jar. And what's dripping out of that one is just residual from what had already fallen down. We have pictures in some of the things we did last spring, or last fall, I mean, that show you how the frames work. Put this closure in here. That just covers it up to keep detritus out of it. And then we'll open this one. Another spigot. In there good, and then we'll crank it open. This one, as you can see now, is just at the drip stage. And there it comes. We really don't know how much we're going to get. A lot in there is what I thought. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one off. So what we'll do is we'll take the spigot out and put this in place, and that'll hold any honey that's left in there, and the bees can get in there and clean that up.
Better get a jar
ready. See, the center frames are just fuller. They're just going to be that way. And I think I said it earlier, the reason you want to go ahead and close the jars up is you don't want the bees to get in there like they did on that one. And here we go. There's going to be some drop out from that one. I'll just put this down there and catch that drip as it comes. Not much. There's some. Okay, there's just not much in this one, so it's down to this trickle. So I'm going to check, make sure that it is fully open, which I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is. It's fully open. I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, I got one. Leave me alone. And a bee pop in my face. And on my hair. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one. Okay, that will shut that one off pretty quickly. I'm sure that dripping there is what happened when I made the change to that jar. Okay, this one's going to have a little bit more than 2 in it. There. Oh, that made it drip even worse. Can I close this one off? So I need to go ahead and put the, well, the ants have already found the honey there on those jars. Doesn't look right. Looks like it's still open. Try it again. Maybe did I close this one? Yeah, I think I closed this. These things, these little nibs keep you from closing it up without the frames being top. Yeah.
That one's getting full.
Yeah. See a ring? Oh, there it is. Now, if you're in cooler climes, when you do this, it'll come a lot slower. Oops. Yeah, it's still coming in. Well, there's not much I can do. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one, I think. Where the finish dripping out. Not as hard to close them up with one crank, but because all of the wax and stuff keeps them from closing a little bit. So, all right, so we'll do one more jar. I think that one won't finish, but we'll consolidate them once we get them in the house. This in, if it'll go. So this will probably be the last one we'll harvest, because I don't know what the outer frames are full enough, even though they look like it from the side. It just doesn't take long for that honey to drop in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and completely close this top bottom. And I'll do this one too. I'll keep that honey in there. So we'll leave these out here. Maybe the bees can find them, clean them. Bees will find the honey and they'll clean it. So,
You better get a jar.
gotta have another jar. It's kind of hard to tell what's going to be full and what's not. So. We've got some bee parts in that, so I'll have to strain this one. You can see this whole channel is pretty much full of honey, so that means it's going to be coming out for a while. And I think the bees are beginning to realize, because you can see them walking over the top of these frames. And a good nectar flow, you may fill up, they may start just automatically filling it up. Also, if we have had honey-bound hive down below, they will also probably remove that honey. If there's much honey in that bottom brood box, then they will remove that and move it up to a higher opening, because the queen needs to be able to lay in there. So lay meaning lay eggs. Eggs are in the frames, in the cells, for 3 days, and then they hatch and start the larval stage. And larval runs from 6 days, 7 days, and then they'll pupate, and they'll at about the same time that they're capped. Okay, I'm just going to probably move this jar over, even though it'll mix them. It looks like it's all pretty much the same color. So you need to give the bees space to lay, and because if they have nothing but honey, they're liable to just leave or swarm. Swarm is probably more likely what they'll do. So again, you want them to swarm at this time of the year. At least I don't. So we'll put this lid on here. So we'll by harvesting this, what we'll do again is they will move honey, move nectar, whatever, up from any places in the bottom where the queen would normally lay, up higher, either in here or in here. Last time I checked, this was completely full, so they won't bother it until winter time. Looks like we're getting pretty close. I don't know if I should. There's bees in that. I don't want to get that last frame, but it is full, so maybe I will. I don't know how many jars we got left. We got 2 jars left, so I think I'll save that for later. So basically, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 full quarts in 4 frames, and we'll have maybe a half here, or a little bit less. So that's good. I won't keep you on, because you've seen enough, I hope, to know that flow hives are pretty great. Again, the bees, well, the way the bees noticed it, because when I turned one of the cranks one time, it raised this up, and there were bees up, and then that came out. That's the only way they knew we were out here. But they looked at us and decided we weren't a problem, and went back to doing whatever they were doing. So anyway, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I love to answer questions. These flow hives are great. We need to be able to use those, because it's just, again, it's better for the bees because you don't mess with the bees. Typically when you're going to harvest, what you'll do is you have to take the top off, go down there and pull the frames out, make sure the bees are all off of it, pull the frames out, take them back and go into a circular around extractor, extract them and then bring the frames back. So you've basically messed with the bees twice. So here you don't mess with them at all. So it's healthier for the bees. It's better for us because I don't, like for instance, I'm not wearing any kind of protective gear, and I didn't get bothered. I'm wearing my Papa Z's Bees t-shirt, which is available at our spring store, just like my hat. So if you like it and would like one, please go ahead and follow out there. There's a link on our, and it will be in this video. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.
Okay, as we talked, the bees really don't notice we're even there. This is an example. This is what was going on as we were pulling out the honey from the hives. So they don't know, and they don't bother you.
This is a quick look at the harvest that we took this morning. 8.5 quarts, which is about 25 pounds. Wow. This is a couple of hours after the flow hive extraction. You can see, especially in some of the areas, like right in there, you can see where they're already uncapping and getting in there and cleaning it out and getting ready to fill. So thought this was an interesting part of the extraction.